Hello, what's up guys? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're here for UFC 253, Israel Adesanya against Paulo Costa in an absolutely fantastic main event. Really looking forward to that fight. I think it's my most highly anticipated fight of 2020. I know we've got Khabib against Gaethje later on in the year, a little bit later on. But this to me is just a fight that has really got me, kind of got the engine kind of revving here and ready to go and ready to see this. Two undefeated fighters, two absolute great strikers in different ways. And honestly, it's just a great fight with Dominic Reyes fighting Jan Blachowicz in the co-main event where the vacant UFC light heavyweight championship, which John Jones has had for seems like an eternity, um, is now up for grabs, and we've got these two guys here. So after that, the card kind of falls off, but the top two fights are really good. Hope everybody is well. I just want to say a massive thank you who reached out last week. I had a bit of a rough week personally. If you were around, you would have found out regarding the incident I had with the guy with a knife. And I never managed to get back to all the people that got in touch. So I just want to say thank you. I'm doing good. I'm past it. I'm moving on. So yeah, I appreciate all the support and the well wishes that were sent my way. If you can, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm still on the mission to hit 4,000 subs. It's been a little slow recently, so if we can start to kind of ramp that up, it would be much appreciated. But just thank you for all the support, because everybody always does really well by me. Thank you, Kiro, Buff on the Beats. You guys are week in, week out, always around. I appreciate that. So I appreciate all the support, guys. I really do. Coming off an absolute banger of a card last week, by the way. It was a really good card. I think some of those fights would have done great on this card, because like I say, it kind of falls off after the two fights there. But yeah, it's I'm going to try and start getting these out on a Monday evening. That used to be the old way I used to do this, was get them out late on a Monday, but I had other things to kind of deal with. But I'm going to try and do these Monday night, round up at this time. It's 11 a.m., just after 11 a.m. here, in 11 a.m., 11 p.m., sorry, over here in the UK. So I'm going to start trying to get out round about this time. So let's get into it. We've got 11 fights in this card. We've got the first fight of the night is Khadis Ibragimov against Danilo Marques. And honestly, I'm looking at this fight and thinking, how the hell is Danilo Marques in the UFC? Because I watched these fights and this guy is not good, and the caliber of opposition this guy's fought is not good in the slightest. I've seen guys with 0-21 records. I've seen, I think it was a 3-38 record in there. And I'm like, dude, this is, and like, not even this. It's not even like fights long ago. It's kind of recent fights, and he's got his opportunity. I remember seeing this guy actually on, I think he was in the corner of Shogun Hua, and that's where I seen him. And but I never really knew anything about him. But he's got the opportunity here against Khadis, who's coming off a brutal knockout against Roman Dolidze. We all know what Khadis is kind of all about. He kind of makes some kind of mental errors in fights, which kind of really costs him. Like the Dang Jung fight, he came out, he was pushing him against the cage and tried to unload a 100-punch combination. He probably landed about 4 strikes and then completely gassed his ass out. And kind of went on to lose that fight there. Lost to Ed Herman, he kind of got the vet lesson in that one. And then, like I say, he got a really bad knockout against Roman Dolidze. And that was less than 2 months ago, around 2 months ago. So he's not had long to really get himself back into, or get himself healthy, really. He kind of, there was a high kick there, he kind of ducked his knee, smashed into the knee of Dolidze. Dolidze is a problem. Dolidze is going to be a really good fighter. That was one of the spots I really missed on that card, because I believed him. Just the whole debut thing really threw me off. And yeah, but I actually like him in this spot here. I don't like what I see from Danilo Marques. I just don't think he's a UFC caliber fighter at this point. I'm not saying that Khadis is, but I'm surprised he's getting another opportunity. And yeah, so like I say, he's a guy that can grapple, push against the cage, aggressive on the feet, not great on the feet, but he can put some cage presence on you and put you against the cage, take you down, and wrestle you there. And I think to be fair, with Marquez, I think his probably path to victory is maybe through his jiu-jitsu. I think he came through the Damian Maia kind of system in Sao Paulo, just doing a little bit of research that I did in this fight. So, but he's not been a pro all that long. He's in his mid-30s as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing Khadisa. Something always usually happens in his fights, whether they're good or bad for him. So I'll take Khadisa Bragimov. If you people out there are betting Danilo Marquez, please just keep on betting it and bring this line down and give me an opportunity to maybe think about betting this guy. I really want to do it, but it's Khadis Bragimov who makes mental mistakes in there, and he could do it again. So I'll take Khadis. I actually take him via stoppage in this one. I think he can get the fight to the ground, and I think his wrestling can win him this fight here. So Khadis Bragimov is going to be my pick in that fight. Juan Espino against Jeff Hughes. Finally, Juan Espino's back. I've been wondering where this guy is. He's not fought, I think it's coming up in close to 2 years. I totally forgot about him. Then his name popped up because he won the Ultimate Fighter. I think he won that a couple of years back against, I think it was that Justin Frazier guy, the kind of big, well-set dude. And he's jumping back in here. Nice to see him again. I mean, he is older for heavyweight. He's against Jeff Hughes, is another guy who is flat to deceive in the UFC, in my opinion. But Espino, to me, is a guy that I think has got a clear path to victory on the ground here. I think that he will look for that. I think his striking's okay. I hear he's been doing rounds out at All Stars Gym in Sweden. I've actually got a friend who knows someone who, a fighter who's actually out there himself. And he says Espino looks in great shape. He's an absolute beast on the ground. He managed to watch him do some rounds with some of the pro fighters. And it looks like he's ready to go. Jeff Hughes, like I say, he's flattered to deceive in the UFC. He's not looked good. He's got low output. I don't think his wrestling's great. I look at this fight here and think, right, where does he win? Can he maybe outpoint him? I just don't see it. I don't think he's been a great addition to the UFC. He's got a couple of losses in there where he got dominated against, not dominated, he's kind of got picked apart with bigger shots from Rafael Pessoa. Then there was the whole weird fight with Todd Duffy where there was eye pokes galore in that one there, and it just turned into a really bad mess of a fight. And then the Maurice Green fight, he just looked flat in that one. I like Espino to grapple, and I think once he gets it there, I think he will find a submission. So for me, I think Juan Espino, not unless he's really looks old, but when looking at his kind of social media and stuff, he looks in great shape. He looks ready to go. He looks kind of refreshed. I know he did a lot of time at American Top Team, but I very much doubt he's not been out there this year. But I'm going to go Juan Espino. I think he gets this fight done inside the distance. I'm fairly confident of that. Now, his betting line is what, minus 275 here in the UK. I can see that as a parlay piece, but I'm kind of struggling to find other pieces that I like around in this card. So I'll maybe wait till later on the week if the line doesn't change too much. I'll maybe see if I can find something towards the end of the week. But I like Espino to win that fight as of right now, and I will. Moving on to the preliminary card of the prelims here on ESPN2, it's saying we've got William Knight against Alexa Kamer. William Knight's getting a turnaround fight in about 2-3 weeks' notice after winning the Dana White Contender Series, where he came through a little bit of adversity, managed to turn it around, and then got himself a first-round knockout against a very green fighter in Cody Brundage. That's another spot I wish I took William Knight. I was like going back and forward. I really wanted to bet him, but when you watch some of the fights there, he puts himself in bad positions. He can get sprawled out on the ground. Somebody can beat his back, could be pounding away. But he's kind of got that Derek Lewis explosion to him, the big athletic explosion, where he could be in bad positions. Excuse me, taking bad shots, and then he'll just explode out of nowhere, get back to his feet, and then he's a bit of a motherfucker when he's on the feet. He will throw heavy leather. And what I liked about these couple of late finishes that he's had in the third round, you watched, I think it's the Rocky Edwards fight. Rocky Edwards wasn't great, but he kind of fought at pace in that one, waited for his opportunity, got in the third round on his first fight in the Dana White Contender Series. When they signed him to a developmental contract, he won that. He was kind of down early, and then I don't want to say he was down early. It was close early, but then managed to kind of pick up the pace, landed the power shot in the third, and get it out there. Can be decent in the clinch. I have seen him knocked out Tafon and Chukwe, who we've seen on the Dana White Contender Series a couple of weeks back with that brutal knockout of Montevideo, I think it was. Lost that one there. Coming in here, I was actually favouring William Knight, and then I went back and watched Alexa Kama's fight against Justin Ledet and a couple other ones, and he's a green fighter as well. I mean, I think you've got an 8-1 fighter against Knight here against Kama, who's 6-0, so very, very green and very young in their careers, especially Kama. But Kama, to me, looks a really good prospect. I really enjoyed his performance against Ledet, picking apart a few things there. Really all-around good striking game, and really just kind of picked apart Justin Ledet, who was the boxer, mixed in a takedown on that one there. Now, you've got to deal with the physicality of William Knight. He's not the biggest light heavyweight, but he is very stout and obviously hits very hard. But I've seen him put in bad positions, which I don't like. Cody Brundage did it. He got the back there and nearly got the opportunity to kind of take him out, but really just kind of blew his wad. And once William Knight got the opportunity, pounced on him, took him out there, got his contract, which with a first round knockout and him being on the Dana White Contender Series again, that was always going to happen. I'm going to take Alexa Kama on this one. I think he's just a little bit more well-rounded. I think he can mix up in the feet. I think he can, as a striker, he's an all-round better striker. I think he can go at the clinch, he can knee with you. You have to be careful, obviously, the strength of William Knight. I think he can probably get a takedown here if he needs be. But I just edge Alexa on the side. I mean, you look at the betting line, and I was kind of tempted with William Knight. Plus 163 he is in the UK here, and that's pretty high. I'm surprised that more money, that line's not going to come down more. I'd be surprised if William Knight doesn't get bet down at least to, wouldn't surprise me, like 135, 140. But like I say, we're only on Monday going into Tuesday morning over here, so I'm going to take Kama. I'll take him via decision. I'm looking forward to that fight. It's two youngish guys in the division, in the UFC, I should say. But I'm looking forward to seeing if Kama's made some improvements since the last time we've seen him. And William Knight, we all kind of know what he's about. But I'll take Kama on that one here. This is a fight I'm really looking forward to. Shane Young against Ludwig Klein. And I actually have a bet on this fight. So, Shane Young, we know that he fights out of the one thing that I kind of like about some of the fighters in this card, they've all, especially the guys from City Kickboxing, they're all fighting in this one card, so they'll all be getting ready together, they'll all be peaking together, and they will be just ready to go in this one here. Shane Young, a very kind of durable fighter. I don't think he fights all that smart. I think that he's very hittable. I think that if he could shore that up and his fight IQ up a little bit, I think he could be a really good fighter. I watched the Austin Arnett fight a couple of weeks back when he was against Nate Landwehr. That fight with Nate Landwehr, by the way, was going to be an absolute brawl back and forward. I thought they were really going to have an all-out war, and Nate caught the virus and he's out, and they've got a really good replacement here. But when I watch Shane Young, he can really pick it up in like the last couple of minutes of the round, but can absorb a lot of shots. That's the one thing I don't like. The Austin Arnett fight, to me, I thought that fight was a little bit closer than what the stats even said. I thought Arnett landed a little bit more. Shane Young, in the last minute of those rounds, really came into it. The end of the third there, he dropped him with a shot, and Austin Arnett really realised like he messed up pretty badly with that. But I think if his defence was a little bit better and he picked his shots a little bit better and maybe had a little bit more output, I think he would have won that encounter because the rounds were close. The one thing here with Shane Young, I think that he could have a clearer path to victory here if he would mix in takedowns or have a little bit of cage control. But he doesn't really seem to do that. He did it in the Austin Arnett fight where he grabbed on a single leg, pushed him against the cage. But really when he got there, he just really wanted to unleash a combination strike. And I've not, there's some people that have been really impressed with him. I've not been super impressed with him, if I'm being honest with you. Wins over Orlando D, got the takedown there, got the elbows, got the finish. And when you move over to Ludwig Klein, now Ludwig Klein's a guy I've known about since probably 2017. First time I ever seen him was on Cage Warriors when he was against Aiden Lee. And he got submitted pretty badly in that one there. He got taken down. There was a tight body triangle on Klein there. He just couldn't get out. And that was, Aiden Lee's a really good fighter on the ground, it's shown. And got the choke there. But since then, he's really jumped in a lot of aspects of his game. He's went over to Tiger Muay Thai, worked on his wrestling specifically with the Hickman brothers and learned something there. I still don't think he's strong in that spot. I still think he can be dominated by good grapplers, even held against the fence. If you watch some recent fights, some people will try and do that there and grapple with him, and they can have the advantage there. Sajewski took him down. But if you watch the highlight reel of this guy in his last few fights, the guy, what I like about him is he picks his shots really well. Very long out the southpaw stance, flicks with the right hand, a long straight left hand, which I've seen him hurt some people with and actually knock people out if you go and check his fights. But he really masks his kicks with those strikes as well, and he's got like 4 or 5 head kick knockouts, devastating finishes, I must admit, really brutal finishes, and I really like that. But there is some spots there. I mean, Sajewski took him down, took him to the ground, put his back on the mat, but he did well, work back to his feet, and then once he gets into that realm, he can really put it on you with his strikes. Like I say, he's not a high volume guy, but he picks his shots really well, and he's got power in his hands, his high kicks, his mid-range kicks, his low kicks. I've seen him being dangerous in the clinch as well. So I bet Ludovic Klein, actually, you guys in America got a really good line. He was like plus 160, I think, last night. There was no line in the UK. I woke up at 4 in the morning to check the NFL score because I had two parlays, which I managed to cash through the Seattle Seahawks. And the Ludovic Klein, there was a betting line for that fight, and he was plus 150. I was right, I'm in. That line is off. It's going to get bet down. And I believe now he's plus 150. I got him at early this morning, so about 19 hours ago. He's plus 110, so that's came down. I think it's a pick and fight personally. So I saw value in the side I was on, because I do think Shane Young's very hittable, and I think that he has got the power. Klein has got the power to really hurt him and potentially put him out. But Shane Young has got a really good output, can go hard for the 15 minutes. And I just like what I've seen. And Ludovic Klein, if you watch my video I made back in March, it was 10 fighters the UFC should sign in the next 12 months. I think I'm 5 out of the 10 fighters have already signed for the UFC. Ludovic Klein was on that list, signed with the UFC. I'm looking forward to seeing him here and seeing how he does in the UFC again and against Shane Young. So I've got Ludovic Klein. I'm going to take him via knockout in this spot here. Just want to say thank you everybody that's in the chat there. Really do appreciate it. Like I say, if you can throw a like on the video, it would be even better. Let me know some of your picks in there, guys. I'm kind of going a little bit slow with this. I see I'm 17 minutes in. I'm just kind of in the mood for sitting back and talking fights here. So yeah, Diego Sanchez, Jake Matthews. You guys know I'm a big Diego Sanchez guy. He is probably my favourite fighter all time. But I don't think it's a good spot for him. I don't like him at welterweight, but I like the fact that he's an older fighter, doesn't want to cut the weight. It's going to be interesting. He's got Stephan Bonner, and it's going to be in his corner this week. That's kind of interesting. I still think he's going to have that whack job of other guy, Josh Fabia, in his corner. So that's going to be interesting. He's coming off a win over Michel Pereira, where he kind of got the opportunity to take the win. He did it. The guy's on a pretty big contract, so he makes some decent money. Smart on his part. But Michel Pereira fought a very good fight, was on his way to winning that fight before all of that took place. We all know what Diego is. He's not really... If he can't put a pace on you, if he can't manhandle you a little bit, then you can get at Diego Sanchez. He's super hittable. You can counter on him all day. But you're never going to take that warrior spirit away from Diego Sanchez. So if you don't put him out, he's going to think he's very, very, very much in this fight until the last dying breath in his body. And Jake Matthews, to me, this is a big spot for him, I think, facing a guy... I mean, you don't get many opportunities to be fighting a guy that's fought in the UFC for 15 years solidly. I mean, this is a name value fight for him. You have certain fighters out there, you'll get name values. He's never really had that. You get a Diego Sanchez fight here, you take advantage of it. I've been waiting for Jake Matthews to kind of blow out and become a good fighter, and I think he's got some tools there, and we see it now and again. I think he can use it. I think he's stronger than Diego. I think he can push a pace. I think he can fight long. I like even though it wasn't the greatest fight in the world, I liked the fight against Akman where he really picked his shots well, kept it long. Anytime Akman would try and advance, he'd really keep him back with some nice long straight shots. And Diego's going to look to try and, I think, take this fight to the ground, because that's going to be his best path to victory here, because he's so hittable and he's not really got any knockout power to really hurt Jake Matthews. So I'm going to take Jake Matthews. I would obviously love for Diego to win. Someone in the chat said there that what dumb shit is, or crazy shit is Diego going to pull this time? Who knows? But I like Jake Matthews. The betting line is kind of crazy though. Jake Matthews minus 720. That's kind of nuts. Plus 510 on the old Diego. Yeah, I'm not going to pick Diego here. I'm going to take Jake Matthews in that spot. Brad Riddell against Alex De Silva. This could be a good fight. I've been really impressed with Brad Riddell. I didn't think he was going to pan out all too well in the UFC. And he's kind of proved me wrong a little bit. Not that I thought he would lose fights instantly, but I thought there'd be discrepancies in his game that could be taken advantage of, and especially in his last fight, I thought that he wouldn't be able to get back to his feet, and he's shown that he can. He get taken down quite a lot in that fight, but his striking is so solid. The guy's a warrior. I love the fight against Jamie Mullarkey. Is one of my, I think it's a fight that goes underappreciated. It was a war. It was such a good back and forward fight. He was absolutely rinsing Mullarkey on the feet, but then ate a big shot, got dropped, showed some nice presence of mind to kind of eat that shot, take a bit of time, get back to his feet, then get into his striking realm, which he is best at. So yeah, and like I say, he is one of the big I mean, he's one of the big guys that's in the gym, actually, at City Kickboxing. A lot of the guys train the striking with this guy. He's got beautiful Muay Thai, beautiful technique. He's got some power there. Alex De Silva, I think he's more of a striker himself. Young, explosive, a little bit dynamic in some spots. But when I just look at this fight, I look at Brad Riddell just being better, being stronger. He has a reach disadvantage, but he's got a lot of kickboxing fights. A lot of fights outside of MMA where he can really put it all together, maintains a good pace, he can land good strikes. Silva's got low output. I've got Brad Riddell in this one. I think he can get Silva out of there. I think he can win a comprehensive decision. So I've got Brad Riddell. I really wish his betting line was like minus 250 and below. Like minus 300's a little bit too high for my liking. I could have paired him up with Espino if he was a little bit lower, but I'm going to take Brad Riddell to win that one there. This is another good fight. Hakeem Dawodu against Zubaira Tukhugov kicks off the main card here. Two guys that I've always been fairly high in Hakeem Dawodu, and I've always looked at Tukhugov as a guy that I thought had the potential to maybe be better than what he's really shown in the UFC. Hakeem really seems to have found his feet in the UFC after that. Like, it must have been a massive shock to him in his UFC debut against Danny Henry, where hit with a shot and then he just got his neck wrapped up, and that happens sometimes. But since then, he's really rebounded with some good wins, some good performances. He's shown his skills, shown his beautiful footwork, his flowing strike, his flow into different strikes, different angles, different avenues to throw some strikes. Lost on Arnett when he was really picking on it, and Arnett's very hittable. Seen that in the Shane Young fight if you ever watched that. Super hittable. Kyle Bochniak, again, he was just picking him apart. Leg kicks, really good striking there. The Hori fight was a really good finish, but Hori was one and done in the UFC. They didn't bring him back. It was a kind of weird cut from the UFC, because I thought he fought his heart out in that fight, and they never gave him another opportunity. And then the Arce fight, that's his biggest fight to date, name value wise. Arce's a tough out, good fighter, really good guy to watch fight as well, and he picked his shots well, really mixed it up, was very accurate with his strikes, got taken down, passed a couple of times, which wasn't great, but he found a way to get back to his feet. And then when he's on the feet, he's so slick and he's so good with his striking that if for the long parts of this fight, if he is on the feet, he will have an advantage in my opinion, especially against Tukhugov, who really throws from the hip, throws big power strikes. You can see them coming, you can counter them, but that fastball right hand that he throws, it hits very hard. You've seen that last time out against Kevin Aguilar, where he caught him with an absolute vicious strike. midway through that first round there. Never even got in touch with his grappling, had high output from the get-go, was out there, just really throwing some good strikes out. Had that fight with Lerone Murphy. Lerone's turned out to be a very good fighter. He's got a good win there against Ricardo Ramos. He's got himself a new contract. I think he's got a fight lined up, which I'm hearing, but I'm not going to say anything. I've heard the opponent, which would be a really good step up for him if that's the case. Fought Moicano. That was a couple of years ago, 4 years ago actually, which is kind of crazy. And got some takedowns in that one, but was just thoroughly outstruck and lost a split decision there. He's going to look to grapple. That's what he kind of is known for, is his grappling, pushing against the cage, being dominant there. Hakeem needs to be careful with his kicks. It's something that he has shown in recent fights. I think Tukhugov might be looking for that to get takedowns off. Close fight. I really do think it's close. I think if Tukhugov can establish takedowns, then he could make these rounds really close. I think on the feet, I think Hakeem's just too slick for him there. So I'm going to edge Hakeem Dawodu to extend his win streak in the UFC 5. This would be a big win against Zubaira in Abu Dhabi. It's a very close fight, and the line kind of at a pick'em kind of really rectifies that. It's pretty much where it should be, in my opinion. If I can get dog money on Dawodu, it might really make me want to maybe bet the fight, but I need dog money to maybe do that, and I know it's not far off, but I'd rather just have a plus number beside that name. Caitlyn Vera against Sijara Eubanks. Third weight cut in 3 weeks for Sijara Eubanks. That's rough. She's had some problems with weight cutting in the past. Now, that was at a lower weight, obviously. 135 should be a lot easier for her, but still having 3 weight cuts in 3-4 weeks or whatever it may be, that can be rough on the body, and especially when she had a fight 2 weeks ago, which I tried to fade her. Made a kind of bad decision betting Julia Avila at -300. And the way the kind of fight worked out was, it kind of flipped the way I thought it was. I thought Eubanks was going to come out strong in the first round, fading rounds 2 and 3, when it was actually Avila who started very strong and then really got dominated in 2 and 3. So props to Sijara Eubanks there. I should have probably stayed away from that fight. I definitely should have stayed away from that fight. She's shown she's got really superior grappling down there. I just don't think she's going to do that with Caitlyn Vera. I think if she puts Vieira into those kind of spots, she'll find a way to get back to her feet. She's a little bit more experienced than what Avila is. It's probably ground-wise on the mats as well. But she's coming back after her first loss, where she got knocked out clean by Irene Aldana. It was a beautiful knockout. Another underappreciated knockout. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she rebounds. I think she's moved camp. She's kind of got away from the initial camp she was, so I'm interested to see that there. Like I say, I think Eubanks could make this very close. It's a fight I don't really want anything to do with. I've kind of tried to fade Eubanks a few times, and she's kind of caught me, so I'm not going to bet this fight. But as a pick, I'll pick Caitlyn Vera in this one. It's not one of the ones I looked into all that much, though. Flyweight division, Kai Kara France against Brandon Royval. Really interesting, fun fight. I've been an admirer of Kai Kara France for the last couple of years. He's been in the UFC. I like his style, I like the way he fights. He's got a really good output, good, solid, technical striking. You can see he puts in a lot of work with Brad Riddell. I've watched some of the videos on YouTube of them two going at it, and he's learned a lot of Brad Riddell, and that's something that he's really started to come more at the fore the longer he's kind of been in the sport, because he took some L's earlier on in his career, but he's really got himself down there and got himself dedicated at his craft. You look at Brandon Royval. I'm interested to see Royval here, because this is his first fight, training full time. Some of the stories this sport can give you. I mean, he was I think he was working a job full time, then like a lot of fighters do, and then he got the opportunity to come into the UFC, got himself a finish, got himself a bonus, quit his job. I love hearing stories like that. Now he's in the UFC full time, training full time. He's going to probably fight quite a bit. Love the fact that he fights out elevation. Very scrappy dude. Don't think his striking's all that great, but it's enough in this, and now something that he can work on. Where he is dangerous, and you've seen that in the Tim Elliott fight. I mean, you can take this guy down at will, but if you do, you're kind of going into the spider webs kind of guard that here, because Brandon Royval can really catch you in some submissions. You've seen that there, and Tim Elliott just went back to the well one too many times, ended up getting caught. He has shown in previous fights that he's got some decent striking, but I think he's at a very big disadvantage here. I think that Kai Kara-France is too clean. He has too much output in this spot here. And I actually do think that Kai Kara-France can mix it up if he wants to, but I think he would really be silly if he decides to do something like that, because he's playing into Royval's wheelhouse there. So I'm leaning on the Kai Kara-France side. His betting line is minus 230. Maybe a tad high, but I can see why it's there. I've bet on Kai Kara-France in spots before, and he's pulled through, but it's been a little bit sweaty. A parlay piece if it was to get down to minus 200 for me, maybe, but I don't think it'll get that low. I'm going to take Kai Kara-France. I'm going to take him via decision, but I am super interested to see Brandon Royval with a full camp being there day in, day out, and seeing what progressions he's making, probably with his striking, whatever it may be. So I'm a fan of his. He was another guy in my list that the UFC should sign when I made that video back in March. Got himself a big win in his debut, but I'm going to take Kai Kara-France for the win there. First of the title fights in the light heavyweight division, we've got Dominic Reyes against Jan Blachowicz. I've had people hit me up regarding this fight, and they think that Reyes is going to blow past Blachowicz, and I'm not on that at all. I think Blachowicz 2.0 is a really dangerous and very good, well put together fighter, who is someone I've kind of slept on him a little bit recently. But when you go back and actually watch, and the fight that really caught my eye was the second fight with Jimmy Manuwa. Now, he showed some decent things with his striking in the Alexander Gustafsson fight, in my opinion. You started to see big jumps in his skill there. But then when he rematched, like when you watch his early fights, like especially against like Corey Anderson and Manuwa, he was being pressed against the cage. He was gassing out really badly. And then he started to kind of rectify that, and he got back with his old coach. I think his name's Robert Cood or something like that, who was his original coach coming through KSW when he won the belt there. But that fight with Jimmy Manuwa really showed me that he started to really commit to his power, commit to his striking, this legendary Polish power, which I thought was BS. I really did. I thought he was always a dangerous kicker with his body kicks and so on, and he could grapple a little bit. But he's really started to believe in his striking and his power, and he's shown that recently. He's very crafty with his submissions as well, so you need to be careful of that. But that Manuwa fight really showed me in London that he's really got through that. And that, to be fair, the fights before that, he beat Jared Cannonier, who's now a contender at middle. Devin Clark, he can be kind of dangerous in some spots. Fight to me when he got back with, he looked like a very dangerous fighter, showed that. I tried to fade him against Nikita Krylov. I'm always a sucker for Nikita Krylov. I always bet him every single fight, win or lose, it seems like. And then he had the Thiago Santos fight. Fought close, was kind of getting hit with some big shots, then eventually got hit with the big shot in round number 3. And then he's rebounded with some great wins. You had Luke Rockhold and Ronaldo, Jacare Souza, and I mean, he came through those fights. I thought he fought a very good fight against Jacare, where he just really kept him apart. Jacare was trying to take him down, couldn't do it. Luke Rockhold, that knockout was awesome, because anytime Luke Rockhold gets knocked out, it's always a fun time. And then last time out against Corey Anderson, he's shown once he commits and he plants his feet, the guy's very dangerous, and knocked out Corey Anderson. And that's how you get to Corey Anderson, because if you give him an opportunity to get into the fight, Anderson will eventually get takedowns and start to dominate you through there. But I mean, he's won like 5 performance bonuses out of his last 8 fights, so he's really starting to believe in his power, and you can see that he's putting it all together there. You look at Dominic Reyes, very athletic, very good fighter, very good striker. He can really kind of do a little bit of everything. I don't like how cocky the guy is, because he lost to John Jones. I don't care what anybody thinks. I still think he lost. It was close. And I mean, you can be cocky when you push probably the greatest fighter to the kind of brink. But I thought that he lost to John Jones. I thought it was 3-2. But he took Jones to the kind of limit in that one there. Like I say, can do well, can wrestle, can fight composed, got big power, angles off really well, can feint really well. His footwork's actually really underestimated. It's something that I kind of watched a little bit, was just his footwork. And once he posts and he's got you straight down the pipe, if he lands that big shot, he can hurt you there. I just think this is a really close fight. I think betting line, I think the money side that you play right now, in my opinion, is Blachowicz plus 225. I think he can. I think he can knock out Dominic Reyes, and I've never been like I said, I've never been on the Jan Blachowicz side. I feel like if I'm going to pick Jan Blachowicz, I should really bet him in this spot. I mean, plus 225 is decent value in my opinion. I believe he should be like minus 175, maybe minus 150 to minus 175 in that range. So if you're seeing value in Blachowicz, then you maybe have to play him. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to decide whether I'm going to do that there. So, I mean, and this is the first fight. I think this is the first fight I want to say Jan Blachowicz, outside his last fight, that he was scheduled against Jacare, I should say. He's not had too many like 5-round fights, but Reyes himself is coming into second or third fight, so it kind of plays out a little bit there. I'm going to take Jan Blachowicz. I'm going to take a shot on Jan. I think that people are writing him off. I've seen some people on Twitter, and this is one of the things that I've really done in 2020, which I quite enjoyed, is stayed away from social media a little bit, because some people just talk mad shit online. It's like really just like disrespecting fighters and really ripping them down. And Jan Blachowicz shouldn't be in this spot, and like he's earned his spot. He's beat former champions, he's former contenders, he's beat guys that have beat him before, he's put himself there. John Jones, in my opinion, was going to fight him, but then John Jones, I don't think he's seen a challenge there, and John Jones looks like he wants to challenge up a division, which is fair enough. I think it would be pretty cool if we had another European champion, especially coming out of Poland, which would be, it's a pretty small country, and they've got another UFC one after Jędrzejczyk. I'm going to take Jan Blachowicz. I'm going to take him via knockout in the second. But I've seen someone say there, the speed of Reyes, that is very true. It's something that he can absolutely do, is maybe just have a little bit too much speed. But I'm going to take an underdog playing Jan Blachowicz in that one there. So the main event of the night, we've got this last style bender, Israel Adesanya against the Eraser, Boachinha, Paulo Costa, the Destroyer. One of my favourite guys to watch, honestly. Both these guys are so fun to watch in different aspects, because you've got the sheer destruction, of Costa, and you've got the precision, the accuracy, the kind of art of Israel Adesanya, where he really picks his shots. He doesn't overextend. He just, everything looks natural with him. And that's another thing, looking online, is like people are shitting on Izzy for like his last fight against Yoel Romero for running. And I'm like, dude, he was against Yoel Romero. You're not going to stand there and sling bombs with that guy, because it's just not good for your health. It's not smart. And I thought he did the right thing, just picking his shots there and staying away from the dangerous Yoel Romero, where you kind of look at the other side. You had Boachinha was just like, right, fuck this, I'm going straight in, I'm going to lay some heavy leather on him, push him against the cage, and just throw him, bomb it, and be susceptible to eating a big shot from Romero. And he did that for 15 minutes of that fight, and I mean, I bet him in that fight, and people were saying Yoel Romero won that fight. I'm like, dudes, no way did he win that fight. And I know I bet Paulo Costa, so I'm probably going to be a little bit biased there, but when I watched that back this morning, it's like Costa just did enough in that fight. He landed more, his attacks to the body. Yoel didn't land as much as people were making out. And he actually showed some decent takedown defense. Once he got taken down, popped back to his... Initially, what he got taken down, but like there was a few occasions where they were scrambling, and then they jumped into it, and he got back to his feet quick. And then his body work is something that I love. Is his body work, the way he kind of goes to the body, comes up top. But this is a big jump from, I don't want to say it's a big jump from Romero to Adesanya, but striking wise, Adesanya is, I think, one of the most pure guys striking wise to watch. He's just so definitive with everything that he throws. Like, he's so accurate. And I mean, I mean, it's just, I'm kind of struggling with this fight, pick-wise. To me, it's fairly self-explanatory in my opinion. I think 10 minutes, if Costa can get Adesanya there, I think that he can absolutely pin him, not pin him, but I think he can land some big shots. I think that's his best opportunity to win. I think once this fight goes a little bit later, I think that Adesanya could really start to pick him apart. This is a tough one to me for me to pick because, like I said, I love Costa. I've always been a little bit bullish on Adesanya, but his skills are legit. I've tried fading him before, but I just don't see him pushing and keeping Adesanya against the cage there. I think Adesanya's going to fight smart, pick his times to get in close there. It'd be interesting if this fight hits the ground because Costa's a black belt supposedly, so it'd be interesting to see if it goes there. But to me, I think I'm going to edge Israel Adesanya just with his pure, beautiful striking. I think that everything that he does and everything that he throws, he has, he picks well, picks his shots well. He has ill intent on his shots, and those he can. I think he can. Those jabs, and it's something Uriah Hall actually did off the top of my head here, is he did really well. He caught Borrachinha with some beautiful jabs, and I think off the top of my head, Adesanya is longer than Hall. I'm going to make a bet on Adesanya. It's not going to be. I was thinking about going straight, and I was like, no, probably a little bit too high. I'm going to bet Israel Adesanya to win in rounds 4, 5, or decision. It's sitting at plus 200. I think that's a great spot there, honestly. I think it was plus 200. Yeah, it was plus 200. So that's the spot that I like, and I'm actually going to bet that prop. It's Adesanya to win in rounds 4, 5, a decision, because I think that Costa can do enough, but he could eat a shot. Cause like I say, he picks his shots, but if he gets too aggressive, you've seen what Brunson was trying to do. But if you push too hard at him, he can maybe counter you with a shot, and that could happen. But I think Brunson, Borrachinha are a little bit kind of different makes there. So I'm going to take Israel Adesanya. I think I'm going to take him. I think I'm going to take him via knockout in the late rounds. Why not? I'll take a knockout finish there. So over 2.5 is minus 135. Well, that's not too bad. I'm going to take Adesanya for a late finish, but I'm going to bet in rounds 4, 5, or decision. So 42 minutes in, guys. I really do appreciate everybody that's been in the chat there, and anybody that's given me the dog's fine, Ginge. I really appreciate everybody for sticking around with it. I really appreciate everybody giving me a thumbs up. If you're new here, please just hit the subscribe button and hit come and comment and let me know that you're a new subscriber, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So that is it for this week. I'm back for home against Aldana next week, which the card looks a little bit but I'm looking forward to seeing Fight Island. I'm really looking forward to seeing Fight Island compared to Vegas, the way it's been. There's been fights falling off and people getting the virus, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what the difference is here and whether they contain it and whether we have many fights drop off or whatever it may be. Guys, I want to know your picks. I want to know your bets. Please drop them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the support. Just thank you for everything. You guys are awesome. So all the best. Until next week, guys. You love your dog more than your wife. Nah, I don't love that. I love my dog, but my missus is she number one? Yeah, she's number one, I suppose. Yeah, I'm only joking. But yeah, until next time, guys, all the very, very best. Take care. Costa won 29 against Romero. Absolutely 100%. Agree with you there, Tucson. Until next week, guys, all the best. Take care, and I appreciate you sticking around with me. Thank you.